All right, we'll go ahead and get things started this morning. It's June 3rd, board meeting. I'll be filling in for Chairman Howard today. He's out of town. First thing, we'll have a call to order and a pledge of allegiance. I've asked Sheriff Allred to give that.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our regular meeting and session held on May 20th.
So move, Mr. Vice Chairman.
I'll second.
I'll make that unanimous. Get a motion to approve our demands and handwritten warrants.
Vice Chairman, I move that we go ahead and pay our demands and handwritten warrants.
Also second.
I'll make that unanimous. First up today, we'll have Sheriff Allred.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
And ladies. So yes, I just have a couple of items. My first one is a renewal of our Arizona 911 program. This is an agreement between ourselves at the Sheriff's Office and also the Arizona Department of Administration. That is about 87,000, 88, something like that. But we do get reimbursed back for that money. So that's it's something we got to do with our 911 program. Of course, which is kind of obvious, goes without saying, but still, yeah, that's a wonderful program, and we're grateful that we're able to operate and run something like that.
Any questions?
Yeah, just a comment and maybe a question. Noticing in the provisions of the contract, Sheriff, that there's that they will allow for reimbursement of training, and was wondering if we basically need to keep that whole amount for the 911 system and pay for training from general funds, or whether we utilize that some of those funds for training.
Well, I think we've tried to use those funds to the best for us. Of course, we know that if it requires us for that dollar amount to keep operating, that yeah, we'll do what we got to do as far as our training our folks goes. But we do try to use out of that as much as we can until it's not there for us anymore.
Very good. And I misspoke when I said general funds. It would be some other, I believe, perhaps some other account. But thanks for that explanation.
Thank you.
I'm satisfied and ready to make a motion, Mr. Vice Chair. I go ahead and wholeheartedly move that we support the 911 program grant agreement, that we approve that between Graham County and Arizona Department of Administration, and I'm grateful that ADOA does provide funds for that.
I would echo that and second it.
I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen, on that. Our next item, I think it might still be on the minutes, but it was for the approval of out-of-state travel for Lieutenant Hall. If we would like to remove that one today. Things didn't work out well for us to get him scheduled for that training, which we're going to look later on in the fall for him to do that same training, which is valuable for them. But things just wasn't working out right at the moment to send him right now.
Okay.
And then our last item that we have today is we are applying for 15 stab vests for our detention officers, of course, to keep them safe while they're in their environment, working with inmates in close quarters. Those vests, they're not cheap by any means, but it's a half match grant, and our half of it, which we could pay out of our jail enhancement funds, would be about approximately $6,750, something like that, would be our match on the vests.
Okay, any questions?
Mr. Vice Chair, that's just one of those absolutely essential, critical items for safety, and you know, it's hard to put a value on that. We're just grateful that we get some participation. I would move that we approve the that program application for the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership.
I will second that.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you, Sheriff Allred.
Gentlemen, thank you very much today.
Next up, we'll have Cindy Orr.
Good morning. I have to present to you 3 offers for over-the-counter tax deeds today. Each of those offers is the full amount for the taxes that are owed, as well as the fees that have been incurred to foreclose on those properties.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I read through your documentation, and it's great that we have people who will pick those up and not just have them accumulate penalties and more tax, and that an opportunity for either investment or development. So and thank you very much for beating the bushes and getting these this money back into our treasury.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve, unless Chairman has any kind of comments on that.
I just would echo that, Paul, and also Cindy. I've said it almost every meeting that you come forth with this stuff, that we really, really appreciate the work you do, and the office, how it stepped up and really got these things moving. So I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I will second. Did you make a motion, Paul?
Yes, I did.
I'll second it then.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you,
very
Cindy.
much.
Next up, we will have Mr. Brian Douglas from the Health Department.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We're requesting permission for out-of-state travel for Shanna Maston. She's our teen pregnancy and prevention program instructor for a teaching conference in Nashville on June 19th and 23rd. And this conference offers evidence-based instructions for teachers to utilize in their own classrooms, and that we'll be working in collaboration with the Safford High School where she's employed full-time, to where the Safford High School will pay for all of her travel expenses, and that we would pay for her time. And that the TPP program does encourage our instructors to go out and to seek this type of these conferences and so on, to where they can bring that information back and they can share with the other instructors. And so we're requesting permission for this out-of-state travel. And this is a state program, so it'll be paid for state funds.
Okay. Any questions?
No, it's great that the school district they'll receive the benefit from this, but that they're paying for the travel expenses and conference expenses. I did note though, and we try to as supervisors try to be judicious in our expenditures. But as looking at the agenda, I noticed that the 19th and the 20th, it's a 5-day conference, but the first 2 days are pre-conference with looks like a very, very light schedule. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to meddle, but it just seems like the 3 main days of the conference, there's plenty of activities, but in a perfect world, if I was sending one of my kids, I'd probably say, why don't you go the night before the main conference and save our money the first day and a half. But that's I'm pleased to approve it. Just making that notation, and I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the out-of-state travel.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable request and a fair request. So I would gladly second this.
I will make that unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Douglas.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you. Next up, we will have Steve McGoy from Planning and Zoning.
Good morning, gentlemen. We're here to request the approval of a special event liquor license for the Hispanic Heritage. They're putting on a concert as a fundraiser. This will be the last Saturday of next month. very unusual for us to get one this far ahead. We're 7 or 8 weeks before it happens, but we're still going to process it. So this will be in the Ag Building from 5 to 11 on that Saturday.
Glad they're ahead of schedule. Do you have anything?
No, other than a motion, yeah, their documentation, of course, Lupe Munoz, who's their, I think he's their treasurer, and he's also an engineer, the best site drawing I think I've seen for the event. So I'm pleased to make a motion that we approve that.
And I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Okay, now we have an opportunity for the members of the board and the county manager can give a brief summary of our current events. We'll start with Mr. Welker.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman and members of the board. One very large item that came to pass last week, we've been working quite diligently with the Arizona Commerce Authority with their broadband money, which we call our BEAD money, which is about almost $1 billion that'll be available. We've been working through what's called a challenge period. Each provider had an opportunity to go throughout every county and show what different areas they served, and then what is not being served would be available for funding. So other providers and counties had the opportunity to look at the maps, and if they felt like areas were being claimed to be covered but really weren't, we had an opportunity to challenge that. Through community broadband advocates, we were able to challenge a little over 1,350 properties or parcels, and of those 1,350 plus 1,340 were successfully challenged. So we're very happy to report that. That'll open up funding. All of that is around the Pima area and to the north. So that'll open up those properties for a provider to come in and ask the state for that BEAD money to provide fiber or sufficient internet services to those residents. So that was a very successful challenge, and I don't know this for sure, but it's likely the largest successful challenge throughout the state. So very happy with our consultants that helped us do that, and we're anxious to see where the rest of this process goes from here. Just a couple other things to report on. This is our very busy time of the year with our roads and our chip seals. Our chip seal is done. You may have seen our paint truck out now painting the lines. We also contracted with the town of Thatcher, or rather they contracted with us, and while we had our paint truck out, we painted some of their roads as well. But we've been busy cleaning and sweeping those chip sealed roads, catching up on grading, because we pull all of our grading operators during that time, so they've been catching up. We went back to the Fort Thomas Bridge after those high flows. We did have a couple of our large culverts built up with some debris. We were able to pull that out, and at least for this large flow throughout the winter, our Fort Thomas Bridge, I think, was very successful. So we're proud to report that, but we'll also be looking at monsoon season coming and see if we're still successful after hopefully a good monsoon season. Also wanted to report the Stockton Dam. We had bid that out to spray herbicide treatment on a more consistent basis. Rattlesnake Exterminating was the winning bidder on that, and they have applied that herbicide in the last couple weeks, and we'll be burning those weeds off here once they're completely dead, and then Rattlesnake will treat it again a few weeks after that, and we'll be back on top of that in a really good place on Stockton Dam, or Stockton Wash, however. And for now, that's my report, Mr. Vice Chairman and Supervisor David.
Thank you. Chairman Howard, would you like to?
Just something brief. I just wanted to give a shout out for our Economic Development Summit we had last week, and it was a very busy week last week, but the summit went very well. And then also we had that announcement from Siscomani that we had the CDF funding. The project we submitted was very good news that we made the top 15. We haven't got it yet, but we made his top 15 for that project for out at the fairgrounds. That's very exciting news. There's a lot of other things I did, but that was the two main things that I was very excited about. So thank you, Vice Chairman.
You bet.
Thanks, Vice Chairman. Over the last couple weeks, 2 weeks ago today, we met with the BLM regarding their recreational fees, their proposals to increase recreational fees at a couple of sites that hadn't been increased for over 20 years. And they gave us a preview of that before it goes to the state. Chaired a Transportation Advisory Council board meeting. And then we, the following day, attended a water infrastructure grants because we're always looking for opportunities for funding for water augmentation and conservation. We've got a couple of worthy projects. Then the evening of Tuesday, the 21st, helped with a Mount Graham Safe House board meeting. The rest of the report is the following week, May 27th. On Monday, Memorial Day, there was a American Legion. There was a memorial service there that I was able to attend, and it's very well done. And later, a Safford City Council meeting. Went Tuesday evening to Safford Rural Fire District board meeting at the request of a constituent who's concerned about the response times, not through criticism, just the length that someone was asking about feasibility of a substation out in the Artesia area, Swift Trail area. And the fire district indicated that if they put one out there, not that they have any immediate plans, then the people in Solomon will want one too. So it won't be a simple, request. It'll require not only just the bricks and mortar, but the training is problematic. Following day, I went to a Safford Library board meeting, and then Chairman Howard did an excellent job presenting at the Graham County Economic Forum. And the Vice Chairman was there, myself, and it was a long meeting, but it was good to see that kind of coordination and support. And basically finished up with a couple of SEGO Zoom conferences and a BLM public meeting, and then finished up the week Saturday. Went to the BILUS, the vice chairman, or the former chairman, Ned Anderson Sr. His wife passed away, and she's also the mother of Ned Anderson Jr., who's a councilman. And the Sheriff's Department did a nice job at the family's request of escort, and dignified that transfer from the funeral home to BILUS, and then I was able to attend services the following day. So that's my report, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you. I did some of the same stuff as Paul and John, but I just want to thank the BLM for the meetings that we have with them and the relationship that we're able to have with them and their willingness to work with us and keep us informed of what's going on. Chairman Howard did a great job representing the county at the Economic Development Summit. I attended the Lincoln Day luncheon, where the keynote speaker was Juan Siscamani, and definitely appreciate him and everything he's done to help our county out. Now we'll have the call to the public. Is anybody here from the public? Okay. We have a bid that we need to open for transport, funeral, and cremation services.
While Supervisor David's opening that, I'll just maybe explain a little bit. This is currently we have a 3-year agreement with McDougall's Caldwell's Funeral Home. Anytime we have an unattended death, which is a death that occurs outside of under the care of a physician or hospice, requires transportation services to a funeral home. The funeral home that has the bid transports that person, and if our contract medical examiner requires an autopsy on the individual, which is fairly common, anytime there is an accidental death, it does require an autopsy and a determination by the medical examiner, which resides in Tucson. We have a contract with Pima County. So this contract covers the transportation of those individuals to Pima County. And this contract is also inclusive of indigent funeral services as well as burial services as well. So contract was put out a few weeks ago, advertised to the local funeral services and also through the newspaper.
Mr. Chair, we have one bid from McDougall's Caldwell Funeral Chapel.
So the manner in which this bid was put out was a listing of the scope of work, the requirements for the bid, and then a dollar amount placed on each of those items per instance for those items. So I'll just read those. Removal from place of death and transporting to the contractor's funeral home, $450. Transportation to and from the Pima County Medical Examiner's office, $450. Indigent infant burial services, which includes embalming, securing and opening and closing a grave at the Safford Cemetery, installing a temporary grave marker, providing a basic cloth-lined casket, preparing the decedent for viewing, providing use of the contractor's funeral home for 2-hour viewing or funeral service, and interment at the grave site, $1,200. Indigent adult burial services, which includes embalming, securing and opening and closing a grave at the Safford Cemetery, installing a temporary grave marker, providing a basic cloth-lined casket, preparing the decedent for viewing, providing use of the contractor's funeral home for 2-hour viewing or funeral service, and interment at the grave site, $2,200. Indigent infant cremation, including a sheet metal urn for the deceased ashes, $60. Indigent adult cremation, including a sheet metal urn for the deceased ashes, $1,000. Oversized caskets, if necessary, would be billed at wholesale cost. The price of body bags: for a lightweight body bag, $50; for a heavyweight, $75. And refrigerated body storage, $35 per day with the $500 cap.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We only have one bid, but I still would make the motion that we submit this to our staff for review for conformity, and then award based on the findings. And between the health department and I think yourself, you would be the committee on that, wouldn't you?
Yes, yes, Supervisor.
Okay, yeah. So that's my motion, that we that we submit that for a review for conformity and then award if it conforms.
I will second that.
All right, I'll make that unanimous. At this time, the board will go into executive session. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it's on the agenda. We do have an executive session where we're going to discuss a pending court case. And so I would move that we leave this meeting, go into executive session, and then we'll return. But there's very little business after the session. So in essence, the meeting is concluded, but we will come back from executive session and make any kind of decision or an action.
I'll second that.
I'll make that unanimous. Everybody back. Can I get a motion to end our executive session and go back into our regular meeting?
Vice Chairman Mack, I'll move that we go ahead and move out of our executive session and go back into regular session.
And I will second that.
I will make that unanimous. Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion for what we discussed in our executive session?
Vice Chairman Mack, I would move that that in the case in the offer by Nature Suite, in the there are two motions I'll be making. One is in regards to the global settlement offer made by Nature Suite USA and the SAGF Arizona Limited Liability Company for tax years 2022 and 2025. And my motion is that the Board of Supervisors do not accept or reject the global settlement offer.
That's for 2020.
And I will second that motion.
Just to clarify, that is for 2022, 23, 24, and 25.
That is correct, to 2025, including those other years, yes.
We have a second.
Yes, Chair, Vice President, I'll second it.
I will make that unanimous.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, I would move in regarding the offer of a judgment made by Nature Suite USA and Nature Suite Arizona in their offer for tax years 2022 and 2023. I would move that the Board of Supervisors not accept and reject that offer.
And I will second that as well.
And I will make that unanimous. All right. Thank everybody for coming, and hope you all have a great week, and appreciate everybody for being here. This